Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie George with CIBN TV, and I am here with an awesome interview today of one of our leading ladies at CIBN Connect. You're going to want to hit the subscribe button for CIBN TV and pay close attention because today I have with me Michela Quilici. Yay!
Hi, Carrie. Good to be on CIBN TV today.
It's a great day to be doing an interview. And so tell me a little bit more about your business and how you got started.
Oh, wow. How I got started. Okay. So honestly, I got started by hitting rock bottom. Literally, standing in front of my refrigerator in my kitchen, looking at the empty fridge saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay for my groceries this month? I had spent about 15 years in marketing, leading teams, been winning awards, been part of an 8-figure exit at one of Canada's fastest growing startups. And on paper, I should have known exactly how to build my business. But there I was at that time using part of my divorce settlement as my runway to get my consulting business off the ground. This was 16 years ago, actually. Watching it disappear month by month into all the courses and coaches and marketing and programs and networking that I was investing in, all the things that all the experts told me that I needed to do to get my business going. And nothing was really coming back to me. And Carrie, it wasn't until I finally hired my first business coach. I remember she was very, very expensive. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't really have the money to invest, but I found the money to invest. And in our very first session, she looked at me and listened to everything that I had to say. And she said, Michela, you're doing a lot of things here, but you don't have a business model. And her words kind of just landed in my gut like lead, because she was right. I'd been running my business based on my old corporate playbook, on a business that it was never built for. And that was the beginning of really wanting to figure out why smart, capable people can do everything right in their business and still hit a wall. And what I found is that it's almost never a strategy problem. It's almost never a capability or skill problem. It's never a passion problem, because we tend to start our business because we have this, this vision and this mission and this why. And but it's a problem that I've now come to articulate as the operating system mismatch. And this is when the well-meaning, capable, smart business owner is running someone else's playbook, and it's not meant for their own operating system hardware. And so their hardware keeps crashing because the playbook that they're using to run their business on is mismatched. So that's a little bit about how I got started.
That's really interesting, because as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, that's true with many people. They'll go and they'll take courses and they start, a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and they're trying to piece it together, but missing a business model. Yeah, can you describe what that looks like even a little bit more? Like, what does it mean when you're missing a business model?
Yeah. So when I talk about the business model, there's different parts that I bring into it. One is your personality. So this is where we bring in, who are you? What are your strengths? And your personal operating system pulls in your personality tendencies and also who you are, how you think, how you lead, how you make decisions. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? And so we take into consideration, or, I do when I work with my clients, this personal operating system. And then we also bring in the business model and the business strategy. So there's actually it's a three-legged stool, as they say. And so that's what it is. And so the business model aspect of that is going to be, what are you selling? Who are you selling it to? What is the right message? So I like to say, making sure that we've got one message for one market. We've got one good funnel. Whether you are in the business to business lane or the business to consumer lane, and not straddling both before you're ready to do so. Understanding the messaging for the market where they are in their buying decision, understanding pricing as a strategy in terms of what's the right price, what's the customer journey that you are taking people on. They need to understand that you are selling a journey, a transformation, and not just a job title. Oh, I'm a coach, or I'm a financial planner, I'm a bookkeeper. And so it's really helping them understand how the different parts of the business fit together. I like to say it's like I pull up the hood of the car, I look inside the engine, right? And so the engine is your business. And so does your business have all the right parts in it so that your business, which is the car, the engine is the model, the business is the car. Do you have all the right bits and pieces in the right order, right? Are they all, working together in order to make sure that this car can actually move in the direction that you want to move it to? And then the third part of the stool is the third leg of the stool is going to be the strategy. And that's the roadmap that's in front of the car that the car is driving on. And so with the roadmap, we want to make sure that we are very clear on how you're going to take that big vision that you have and really operationalize that into what is particularly the next 90 days. What should that look like? What are the 5 priorities that you need to take in which order to make sure that the car is moving, and that the car is moving fast? Because in order to get traction, there's certain things that have to be done in those first 90, second 90, third 90 days.
This is fascinating. I'm in front of thousands of business owners a year at CIBN Connect, and I cannot tell you how many times I'm in front of a business and I'm talking to this business owner, and I'm realizing that they are missing these components. They don't have a strategy, they don't have a business model. And when I'm talking about the business model, even just having one offer, one funnel that's working, they can't identify that. And it often comes across like even they come out networking and they're changing their infomercial continuously. And so in our training we always teach them to pick a horse and ride it, and get a one infomercial that converts into the meeting so that you can make the sale. And it clearly comes down to that. They don't have a funnel. They don't have a basic one funnel that they're utilizing that's actually working. And so they're lost, and they're just trying to find their way. And I love your analogy of lifting the hood. And sometimes I've lifted the hood and looked underneath that hood and went, this is parts. Or it's maybe the parts are there, but they're all in the wrong order. And if you lift the hood on the engine, and I'm not a mechanic, but I have some idea of what that should look like when you lift the hood, even on a vehicle, and you lift it up and you go, these pieces are not where there should be. There's stuff that's missing, and things that are up front that shouldn't be up front. They should be down below. The order is wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, the person's spinning their tires and they're trying to get things done. They can't figure out why they can't get it done. And sometimes they have many of the right pieces, but in the wrong spot, putting the wrong priority in the wrong place, the wrong time. it really does affect business, doesn't it?
Oh, hugely. I mean, I had an example of a client come to me and she'd already been in business for a couple of years under this model of kind of throwing, I like to say, throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm Italian, so I love using the spaghetti example, but throwing spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. She invested a lot of money on all the things that everyone told her to do in terms of marketing, posting more on social media, launching summits, get out there and start speaking on stage and send, 5 DMs a day through LinkedIn to try and pitch people. I mean, it's crazy. The problem is that there's too much information out there. There's dozens and dozens of marketing tactics, and many of them are legitimate. However, not all of them are going to be right for your market, because your market, we have to look at how the market buys and match the tactic for how your market buys. We have to match the tactic for who you are, because if you are like this gal, she's an introvert. And so getting her to be out there and doing all these really crazy, extroverted type activities was literally giving her panic attacks. And so for her, it was really much more about relational. Let's have conversations, So the tactic might not be right for your operating system and for your personality. And it might not be right for what you're selling too. So it depends on whether you're selling a product, whether you're selling a service, who you're selling it to. There's lots of factors. And this is why using other people's playbooks or getting your marketing strategy from ChatGPT is not going to work at all, or it's going to feel like it's working because you're doing things, but then you're not seeing the results, or you're just going to burn out trying, and then what happens is the danger is then we turn that back on ourselves and say, oh my goodness, like nobody wants what I'm selling. There's too much competition. And the confidence starts to tank. And so also burnout happens. And because when we're hustling, because we've been told to hustle, but we're hustling doing the wrong things, or the things that are just not right, not aligned, I like to say, to who we are and who our market is and what our type of business is, we burn out. And then, then we go to the spa, we do self-care, and then we come back and we start again, and then we burn out again. And so these are the cycles that I see over and over again, which has really led to why I do what I do in the first place, because I went through that myself. And so I get it. And I've seen people have to go back and get a job. I've seen people who aren't able to pay, for their kids' education because their business is not working when it really should be, because they're smart enough and they're capable enough and they have something that a market does want, but it's just not positioned the right way. It's not messaged the right way. It's not priced the right way, or it's not, it's not marketed in the right way that really serves them well.
Yeah,
So.
and I find the missing steps really, really important, because, and I think it's so true what you're saying. People are now, they're going to ChatGPT. In fact, I had someone the other day say to me, consultation services, I mean, you don't need those. You can just go to ChatGPT and get, information that you need. And I was like, yeah, you can go to ChatGPT and get information. Is it the information you need? That is a question. Or is it just going to give you a bunch of broad-based things that really is not specific to what you need to accomplish, or like in your saying, who they are, that is so critical, because I see it too. We're in front of thousands of business owners every year, and people are burning themselves out trying to be something they're not, trying to
Yes.
do something that is not, it's not in their wheelhouse. When they do have something great they could be focusing on, they're not even going there. They're following some model that they got from a coach or online or from ChatGPT, and losing their way in that.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why I'm so passionate about getting this sorted for people, because a lot of the times people were coming to me when it was almost too late in a way. I was at one point I was getting people who were on the verge of shutting the doors on their business. I
Yeah.
had one, cleaning company that came to me, and she was making six figures, but she was breaking even. So, and that shouldn't be the case. I mean, something is wrong if you've got a successful cleaning company with clients and you do really good work and you're only breaking even. I mean, that
Right.
is an indicator. That's a problem. If you don't have to settle for that, right?
Right.
And I've had so many turnaround situations where I've literally helped people not shut their doors. But I would love to be able to support people before they get to that point, because um, that's just too painful, right? To be at such a stressful position where literally you're looking at wanting to either sell the business or just shut the doors and walk away from the business. And so this concept of supporting people to create a business that is in alignment more with who they are, and what I call the flowing founder, going from being a stuck founder to a flowing founder, which means having this alignment
Yeah.
to, you know, doing what you love, being in alignment with how you're showing up and running the business, the impact that you're making, the income and revenue that you want. And so uh, it's a real struggle. It's a real
Yeah.
struggle.
It is, and I think that's leading right into the next question about why. Like, why do you do what you do? Like, why? What is really driving you? You talked about that moment that you had, like in front of your own refrigerator, but why do you keep doing this with others?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I suppose the short answer is because I live the alternative, and I don't want other founders, especially women, to spend as long as I did figuring this out the hard way. I just a bit of my backstory. I grew up in an Italian immigrant household where I learned to make myself very small to keep the peace at home. And by age about 8, I had developed this speech impediment that was just so severe I couldn't even say my own name. And by the age of 8, I had started this pattern of thinking small, right, and being small, and I carried that pattern of hiding straight into my schooling and my jobs, and eventually then my own business. And I was an introvert as well, forcing myself into this extrovert's playbook, and beating myself up around not being good enough, not finding success in all of the other things that all the other strategies and tactics that other people seem to be, getting much success from. And so what changed everything for me wasn't this, a new tactic. It was really just like understanding who I was. And one of the things that really helped me was flamenco dancing. It had nothing to do with business, but I picked it up at age 30 with zero dance experience, and and I had a lot of performance anxiety, and so, but I knew, like, I have a tendency of pushing myself off the ledge because I know my personality and I know how to sort of hack hack my blind spots and hack the things that have gotten in my way. I've learned that over time. And so when I pushed myself off the ledge to really put myself out there, it gave me back my presence, my voice, and it started rippling out into how I led in my business. That was then the first time I picked up a microphone and started speaking and started taking that seriously and doing that professionally. I started being more bold in sales conversations. For somebody who was hiding behind their computer, wanting to just write blogs and not be around people that much, that was a big stretch. So when I stopped borrowing other people's strategies and really started to understand, well, who am I and what are my strengths? and how can I leverage what I'm good at, and how can I actually build this business, design this business around who I am, then everything changed. Everything got realigned. So that was a huge game changer, and it was just so painful for me to go through that, and then to see that other people were going through the same thing, and their confidence was tanking, and they were forced to go get jobs, and their lives were, just so miserable. I thought, well, you know what? I have spent a lot of time, energy, money, and, to really get myself out of this. And I really have a heart for supporting other people, to be seen and to be heard. I know what it's like to be in that hiding spot. And, I had no choice to start my business, like most of us, so there was a big driving force behind that. And so now that's why I do what I do, to help others, so that they can actually build a business that feels like it's theirs, not one more thing that they're being forced to do, forcing themselves through.
Yeah, it sounds so good, so authentic, and I know exactly what you're talking about with entrepreneurs. We really want to do our own thing, and to have to go back and get a job after becoming an entrepreneur, I don't think there's anything that's more humiliating for a human being. Like, you've been doing the things on your own and enjoying your own timetable and your own schedule, and if you can't support that financially, like it's heartbreaking. You know, it's almost like watching something. It's watching something you love die, and it's very, very tragic. Like it hurts, to go through that kind of experience. And I totally get it. And I've watched entrepreneurs do this. Yeah, so to be there to make a difference for them, to help them to get that thing going and to scale properly and to be authentic who they are, that's magical, really, you know?
It's a
Yeah.
gift. It's a gift that you can also, that you give to yourself, because once you can do that in your business, then you're able to support the people you want to support in such a better, bigger way. So it's that means to an end. It's a win-win actually for everybody. It's a win for you as the business owner, because then you get to show up it with more joy and more passion and sustained passion. Because as you know, Carrie, it's not easy being a business owner, and there's phases, right? And we've got to maintain our own sustainability, whether that's holistically, right? So health wise, just continuing to be motivated and inspired to do the work and to put ourselves out there. And I like to say, I do feel like being in business for ourselves is like the best spiritual personal growth teacher we will ever have in our lives, because it literally, everywhere we end up bumping up against the edges in our business, I feel like it's this mirror, right? That if we can look at the mirror and really face ourselves, it tells us exactly what we need in order to overcome the next phase. And so it's this incredible journey being an entrepreneur. Both my parents were entrepreneurs by force, because they immigrated and they had very little English language. They had very little skills. They had very little money, and but they had drive and they had a vision, and to make it in a new country and raise a family and give better opportunities to their children. And I saw the struggles around the dinner table, and they got into business, out of, necessity. And to sustain that, I mean, that was their whole reason, right? To continue to work so hard and to overcome, was to create a better life for their children, me, and so that I don't take that lightly, in terms of knowing the sacrifice they went through, and their story is like all of us, like We get into business a lot of the times because we want to make an impact and we have vision and we have people to take care of and we want to create a life and we want to do it on our own terms. And that's the thing. It's like, I wanted to create something that was unique and different and really based on who I am and how I show up and my approach and my way of doing things. And I know that the people that I work with also want that. But you can't do that if you're running other people's playbooks, because then you're forcing yourself to show up just like these other people. But once you have a playbook that's customized for you, then you can fully lean into even more so who you are and your special approach and your methodology or the way that you differentiate yourself from others.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. And I want to just ask you, like, who is your ideal client? I know you can help so many people,
mm.
and I mean, there's so many entrepreneurs that need this, and they need to scale, and they got to figure things out. But who do you really love working with? Who's an ideal client for you specifically?
So I tend to work with really ambitious business owners, a lot of women, men too, but they range anywhere from startup to 8 figures. They're ready to move past whatever's currently blocking them and capping their growth. So whether someone is just getting into a new venture, building something, launching something newly, maybe they've left a really successful corporate career and they've got this new idea. That's what I call the vision to viable plateau. And so, those are early stage founders that are really need help turning this idea into a model and a saleable and repeatable offer. There's also those folks who are maybe more, they've hit a plateau or a bottleneck around the 6 figure mark. So these could be, solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, service-based businesses, who are they're working really hard. Their revenue is inconsistent. Their referrals might be their main growth channel, but their marketing really feels like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and they're just not able to break through that plateau, that first 6 figure plateau. So those are those folks. Then we've got the folks that are maybe more established. So the business operators, where the founder is still the bottleneck for every decision. They are the system, they're responsible for all the delivery. They are overworked and they are actually on the verge of burnout. And so these are the folks who need more structure, they need systems and leverage, and they need like a strategic hire, not just throwing another person at the, getting a bum in seats, but a strategic hire that is really going to support them as they start to scale and grow beyond their first 500,000, let's say. And then there's the bottleneck CEO who's really trying to break 7 figures. And they look successful from the outside, really successful from the outside. They are very capable, educated, high capacity women. But everything still runs through them. And there isn't necessarily that layer of leadership. And so these folks need more of that operational infrastructure and a financial dashboard so they can make data-driven decisions, so the business can run more fluidly without them holding it all together. So it's really about, it's at any stage I can help them, and it's usually at the bottleneck or plateau, and it's usually when they're just feeling stuck, overextended, like their business has stopped growing despite the effort. And so those are typically the clients that come to me for support.
Yeah, I know recently you have joined us as a sponsor at CIBN, so thank you for that. That's amazing. I also just wanted to say that I know you use a lot of analysis, and I think that that's really important when, trying to figure out where somebody is at and how to get them to the next level. Being able to get in there and actually do a proper analysis can really, really, really help in that situation. Can you tell me just a little bit about your analysis procedures?
Yeah, for sure. So, my approach starts quite differently than any other strategic growth consultant or leadership coach. Instead of handing clients this generic strategy that we talked about, or a template, or that kind of thing, I diagnose exactly where the business is misaligned as a first step. And that's how the owner, I look at how the owner is naturally wired. And then I help them refine the business model, their growth strategy, their systems, and their next steps around who they are and what their business is. And so I use my 5 stages of business growth framework, and also a personality based diagnostic tool. And with those tools, and in addition to my own experience and personal uh, knowledge, I can then easily identify precisely which stage a business is in. So it's going to be one of those 5 plateaus. And then each one of those plateaus has a particular pattern that's associated with it. So there's blind spots, there's specific strategic moves that have to happen at that stage. There are identity shifts that need to happen at that stage, and different levels of focus that need to happen. So it's not about like what's worked for someone else's business. It's really then about understanding which plateau you're at, who you are, and then putting that all together to then really get clear on then what's next for you based on where you want to go and what your business is in the next 90. So my flagship offering is the Flowing Founder Intensive. This is where the whole diagnostic process happens. It's a 21-day diagnostic essentially, and strategy development container, and that it delivers that complete diagnostic so that the founder has clarity. And honestly, I've had clients after our first diagnostic call, out of the 3 calls that are included in that, they come in tears because they say to me, this is the first time that I've actually been seen for who I am and understood in terms of like who I am as a personality, as a person, and how I'm different and what my strengths are. And it's just so powerful because it's completely customized. So it's deep work. And we get to the crux of it super quickly because of these tools, some of which I've built personally over time with my experience, and also my ability to just get to it very quickly and be able to hone into what's the root cause versus what are the symptoms that are showing up on the outside.
I love that. It's very important to get to those causes quickly. And you don't know where a business is at. They might be, at that place where, they got time to figure this out and they got teams working on stuff, or they might be at the place where in the back of their mind they're already going, one leg is out. They're trying to. I got to figure this out quickly because I'm getting tired. I'm getting, and I meet these people all the time. Like even just recently, I was shocked that somebody walked away from their business, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And it's just, they were overwhelmed. They had been in that place for a long time and they hadn't gotten the help that they needed when they needed it, and they were just too far gone to save them.
Exactly, and that happens so often. And I've had a couple of people come to me who they've said, "I'm done. Can you just help me exit?" And I've had people come to me where they're saying, "I'm literally on the verge of closing my doors. Like, can you save my business or not? Because I'm out." And we do end up turning it around. And then I've had other businesses, other companies. Business owners come to me and they're running a successful 7-figure business with a team, making good money, creating impact. They're pioneers in their field, super educated, and also saying to me, "Oh my gosh, Michela, like when they come at that bottleneck CEO plateau, they're burnt out." And some of them have ended up in the hospital, and they're like, "I just want to sell everything and just like run away to Mexico." And that's a sign, right? That is a symptom that is a sign that you are bottlenecking and you're at that plateau. And closing your doors on your business is or selling the business. Those are not the only two options. Um, so it's really about getting clear, right, on where you're at and what you need to be able to move forward with more clarity and confidence and strategy, and knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to have to stop doing some things and start doing some other things, and probably up level your personal leadership in how you're showing up and how you're leading team, how you're leading yourself, because there's always a personal leadership component to it. um, I can deliver strategies all day long, but your leadership has to uh, be in pace, right, with those strategies. Otherwise, you won't be able to implement them, or the team won't listen to you. So,
That's right.
uh,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this. And I think that you've given us a really good idea of the kind of work that you do and who you can help. And just as I'm even talking to you, I'm thinking of more people I need to introduce you to because I know that you have the answers and the strategies for them. And I'm so excited that you are a mentor now to the CIBN Women's Group and to the entire organization, really, because I know that you have the answers that many business owners are needing. So thank you for being here with me today and describing everything to us and helping us to understand with more clarity. And is there any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to give us just as we're closing today?
well, I'm just super excited. So I thank you so much, Carrie, for the opportunity. I love what you're doing, what you're building inside CIBN. Community is crucial when it comes to building a business and not doing it in a silo. And so you're providing that place and that space and the resources and the training and the mentorship for people to get supported. And so I'm really excited about partnering with you to support and to walk alongside all of these business owners as they up level and take it to the next step.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun and we're going to have great journeys. So, all right. Thank you so much.